So this is the scene of the crime. This is where Clifford Lewis Jr., an 18-year-old black man, had got shot. He had got shot 13 times. Johan Kit Stimley, actually the leader of the Viper Squad, of the Viper Squad that give me $28,000 in medical bills. This is the same man. This is the same man. He murdered Clifford Lewis Jr. in 2001, January 9th, 2001. His officers, I guess deputies or whatever, his under fucking staff had beat me up and give me $28,000 in medical bills in December of 2012. The Viper unit had just been established in October, so Kit Stimley automatically sees you have Robert White, the black police chief, goes away. Steve Conrad comes up. You got Mayor Fisher's a new mayor, so he sees an opportunity to go ahead and make his fucking special units teams a fucking dream come true. It's a Viper unit, so it's a Viper interceptor something something. It's supposed to stop violence. Viper, but it's actually a snake, right? And it's a venomous snake, and it's gonna strike you, and it's gonna kill you. And if you're Clifford Lewis Jr., you're gonna get fucking murdered, and you're gonna get murdered right at the parking lot of the White Owl liquor store. And so this is in the West End. This is in see, on the corner of Wilson, Ormsby, Dixie Highway, around the 2200 block, right? I guess maybe, I don't know what 100 block. Oh, 1300 block. So 1318 Dixie Highway is where the White Owl liquor store is. So you see the liquor store right over here, right? You can see the phone number. The White Owl liquor store. You got the Daily Mart, that's sitting right there. I'm not for sure exactly how it transpires. It just says that it started. The van had started out at Dixie and White Owl Liquors, and then eventually he tries to drive away. Clifford Lewis Jr. does, and he runs into a house. And so I don't know if he drives straight across, from the parking lot, or if he would have shot towards Ormsby, right? So if he's in the parking lot, like right here, and he drives away, he could drive straight out. He could drive over to here. He could drive this way. He could drive that way. And if you're being shot and you're hitting the gas, the thing could just be moving even though you aren't doing anything at all. I actually heard there's a girlfriend too. He was with his girlfriend. There was a woman that was with him the whole time, and they jumped him. So he was sitting at White Owl liquor store in the parking lot in a van, and there's about 5 fucking dudes that just jumped out of the fucking car brandishing guns, right? So I don't know if he just pulled up in the van, or if he had been sitting there for a while, or if they had been sitting there for a while, been in wait, right? Just sitting for this guy, for Clifford Lewis Jr. in wait, and they're just sitting in the parking lot, and including Johan Kit Stimley. So Johan Kit Stimley, we've seen a picture of him before, so you've seen a picture of him. I showed him a couple times. He's the right. See, if you're handcuffed, consider this man dangerous. But anyways, Johan Stimley. Actually, I wanted to start it out with the whole shooting in Boone County. So Boone County, they shot that girl, right? She was in the field, 19-year-old girl, drove away, and then the fucking officer chases her down, jumps on the fucking hood of the car, and then shoots her, like a whole bunch of times straight into her fucking abdomen. So that's exactly, I mean, it sounds almost virtually fucking identical, only they didn't find they found alcohol in her system in Boone County, but they didn't find anything in his system. They didn't find anything on his person. They didn't find anything in the car. So, usually they'll pull some shit out and be like, oh, look, he had a piece of crack, so therefore he was a crack dealer, and, closed case, who gives a fuck? Or even plant the shit, right? They're even fucking usually savvy enough to plan something, but they found nothing. They found absolutely nothing on him. They found no fucking guns, no weapons, no drugs, no contraband of any type, no fucking playboys, no nothing at all that would be objectionable to anybody's fucking moral conscience in any fucking way, shape, or form. So this, Clifford Lewis Jr., he fucking got murdered. He got fucking slain by Johan Kit Stimley, the fucking leader of the Viper Squad who was running around Louisville doing the fuck as they please. And they just canned him. They just fired him, and I don't know why they did it. And in the way it shows, it shows there's a crack in the dam, right? There's clearly a crack in the dam with him. He'd been part of the department for 7 years prior, so he had killed, in 2001, been 7 years before then, and so that would be what, 1994. So 1994 till today, he's been on the fucking force, for 20 years. So Johan Kit Stimley's been a fucking LMPD officer, still an officer today, brazenly fucking murdered a man, right? And then the grand jury failed to indict him because of the fucking Commonwealth's attorney, Dave Stingle. He said it could have gone one way or the other. Nah, the prosecutor has a way too much fucking influence when it comes to the grand jury. the prosecutor, that's what they're, you know, they get in there and they did it with me, right? They're trying to convict you. They're trying to fucking say you're fucking guilty, but the grand jury actually doesn't really mean shit. It just means, is there enough evidence for a trial to continue? So an indictment is really very little. So they say you can indict a ham sandwich, and that's a fucking saying, but I'd never heard of a ham sandwich getting indicted. And it sounds so bad, but it doesn't really. It just means there's enough evidence for you to have a trial. You know, in order, if there's enough evidence for you to have a trial, there's enough evidence for you to have the arrest, right? So basically, all it does is verify or vouches the police officer, the initial fucking arrester's decision, right? So the grand jury, because once you get indicted, you're not going to go to jail. You're just going to have a jury trial. Then you're going to have the real trial. So grand jury really doesn't mean much of anything. But they are able to strike things down, and they're also able to, you know what I mean? Like, I was faced with the grand jury trial with my fucking hearing, so they kicked the, you know, fucking jaywalker's ass or whatever, $28,000, and the grand jury, the public contender, or the public or the prosecutor, she's trying to make a case. She's trying to make a case against me, right? And I was able to say what, you know, what had happened to me, and I spoke to the people pretty, you know, confidently, and they knocked it down. So they did not see enough evidence for me to be convicted or to have a trial of me assaulting a police officer. They did not feel that I was a person who assaulted a police officer. So the grand jury had knocked that case down. And after they did that, you know, that was a good thing, right? So it's, I guess it's harder and harder to fucking try to convince people to go your way. She was trying to convince it and try to push them to go one way, but they're allowed to vote however they want to vote. They don't have to go along with her. She don't have to get every fucking one. And they should speak their conscience, because actually they're the gatekeepers. And if they could stop the fucking frivolous bullshit, good. And if they could get the people that need to be indicted, they did not get fucking Johann Kit Stimley. He was able to fucking murder this man. He was the fall guy too, so they fucking wolf packed him, right? They wolf packed him, meaning they sat in the fucking parking lot. And they waited for him, and then they just had like 5 or 6 guys just jump up in his face, right? So they wolf packed him. You know, that's what they did. So okay, so here's the Daily Mart, and then here's the liquor store, and you see liquor sign, and then I guess that's the drive-through, but you don't really see anybody. You see the police right there still, so the police haven't left. They murdered, you know, Clifford Lewis right here in this fucking parking lot. And he drives off, and they say that after he drove off, he ran into a house. So if you're sitting there, say if you're sitting there where the fucking cop is, let's see, can we get over there? Let's go right there. So if we're sitting where the police officer is and we're looking outwards, where do we see? What do we look at? What house could he have drove into? So what direction, and what, you know, they're just sitting in the front here. They're just sitting there. You got all these parking spots, but there's nobody here. And it just says Liquors, so you don't even know that it's White Owl Liquors, you know. So they said it was White Owl Liquors. It'd been easier just to say it was next to the Daily Mart. So the Daily Mart, and then there's this chicken place here too, King's Chicken or something. So you got a liquor store, and you got the drive-through, right? And there's no police officer here now. So let's see if we can sit right on the fucking parking lot. No. Okay, so he's still here, right? They blurred out his fucking license, so that's, I guess, good or something. I don't know. We can't say who it is. So he's just chilling right there, right? Fucking harassing White Owl Liquors. What's his fucking problem, right? But they occupy him, right? This is where they murdered people. They're gonna sit on the fucking corner here. This is an occupation. And it's a white supremacist fucking racial hierarchical dictatorship. It hasn't fucking stopped. It's been like that in Louisville for about, you know, 200 years, like since the beginning. So let's see, if you were sitting in the parking lot, right, he's in the van, so I don't know where they did. They just jumped him, they just all fucking came and flooded in him, or they was sitting in wait and he pulled up on them. So it could be either way, right? So and then we see that he drives away. So let's just turn around from right here. So let's say he gets into the middle of the road. He could dart out to the right or to the left or something. I feel like they would have mentioned that. Let's see, so if he would have darted out to the right, what we got here? We don't have much. It looks like we have like some sort of apartment building or some big ass thing, but it's not really a house. There's Daily Mart. I don't see a house. So before I had thought that they crashed over in Ormsby. But is this a house here? If this is a house here, then that could very well be the house that Clifford Lewis had ran into. All right, this is the 1300 block. This is where Clifford Lewis met his demise. This is where Clifford Lewis died. And so there is a house here. Foundation looks rickety as shit. Looks like it's about to fucking fall over any fucking second. Looks like it could have been fucking, someone could have ran into the shit and they just been keeping it up all these years. Let's go to the side here if we can. Oh, there's another house here too. So you got this rickety ass fucking shotgun house, and then you got this house here too. So it's a brick building, and then you got a house over here. It's a brick building, so I feel like there'd be more permanent damage in a brick building. So I don't see any clear damage on any of those houses. Now, part of me was thinking he drove over into this corner. I don't know. There's no house here, so maybe they demolished a house after this whole debacle, you know, after this whole thing, and they just couldn't bear staring to see a fucking broken house that had one of their, you know, killed one of their brothers. No, this house looks like it's okay too. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what the events had transpired on that day, and to say that there was not enough, there's a dead fucking body. How are you gonna say that there's no, you know, there's no indictment, right? No indictment. The grand jury deliberated for 1.5 hours, then they declined to indict Detective Johann Stimley. Look at this fucking asshole did, okay? So the fucking Commonwealth attorney, David Stingle, they can't fucking influence the shit, and he was like, the jury's found insufficient evidence to warrant prosecution. You even hear like one of the fucking assistants sit there and say justice was served. Well, justice was served. How? Because no fucking trial was happened. You know, there's enough evidence to warrant a fucking trial. If he was innocent, let the trial go through. Let him be declared by a court of, you know, his, you know, by a jury of his peers that he's fucking innocent. You're gonna put a jaywalker on fucking trial and waste all the fucking taxpayer money when you got a murderer, a person who shot the person, on the fucking police force being paid by taxpayer dollars to get people that he thinks is fucking bad, is fucking wrong. He's a murderer. He killed people. Why has he got a gun? Why is he still on the police force? Why is he part of the LMPD? Why is he heading the fucking most violent unit in the city? Johann Stimley, Johann Kit. You know, that's what fucking threw me off. They all called him Kit Stimley. Kit, so he was going by Kit now. He's not fucking Johann, but Johann Stimley. Actually, that's a German fucking name. So I was putting it on the fucking Irish, but yeah, he's got some German features. I see his Germanness. So, you know, there's some fucking kraut motherfuckers out there. I'll agree with that. Fucking Hitler came out of Germany. And just because you're German don't automatically make you good. In fact, very well could mean you a fucking Prussian, fucking totalitarian, fascist, violent piece of shit. That's a long ass fucking German heritage right there. So, you know, congratulations. The Prussian industrial system's right embedded in the very heart of the LMPD and the heart of the city. So let's plow on, you know, shit. Let's carry on here. It's jurors found insufficient evidence. Clifford Lewis shot 5 times. So out of the 13 shots of Johann Stimley, only 5 landed. And he's shooting, you know, supposedly the fucking story is like Clifford Lewis backs into somebody and then he points his hand in a fucking waistband and then they kill him. So he takes off, right? Then they shoot him. It doesn't make any sense if they shot him before he took off. So he's taking off and they're shooting him in the fucking back. Okay? So I don't, you know, again, I don't know how it began, if they're lying in wait, if he pulled up on them. Or if he had been there first and they pulled up on him. But it is plain clothes. You got 5, you know, I see about 5 vehicles. I see about 5 white guys in plain clothes in a fucking polo t-shirt pulling out fucking guns, pistols and shit. You know, being all organized, possibly like mafia, possibly the police. You don't fucking know when all shit's going down like that. You wolf packing and sending everybody to, you're storming, it's Iraq, you're storming the fucking gates, you're storming the fucking house, you're going in there and you're getting the fucking intelligence and they're arresting whatever fucking, you know, terrorist that somebody said was a fucking terrorist. You know, you're just raising fucking hell. So David Stingle, he basically covered up all them fucking racist fucking murders of the black folks, you know, in the early 2000s and 1900s or late 1900s, 2000s. You know, that basically it was just one after another, and it's fucking horrible. It's like the Holocaust. It's just such a fucking, clear, you know, racial bias that it's fucking sickening. It's fucking sickening. So grand juries are given the options of murder, first degree manslaughter, second degree murder, reckless homicide, and wanton endangerment. So the grand jurors, they were more smarter and respectable in my case, but my jurors, you had 6 white women, including one big ass fat one who was a total dickhead, and the big ass fat one wanted to fuck me over, and so she got me on one of the fucking things. So you know, they have 5 fucking, you know, things that they can put him on. They're saying that he not only did he not kill a person, but he didn't even have wanton endangerment. He wanton endangered nobody by killing a fucking person. There's a dead body, blood all over the fucking scene. He crashes into a house, right, driving fucking crazy into the car. Could very well, you know, he's a contributing factor to the way he reacted, right? So everything, you know, that Clifford Lewis did after the fact could very be blamed on the motherfucker for starting the goddamn shit, right? Is that entrapment? Fuck, he had nothing on him. Why? You know, if you're just being jumped by a bunch of motherfuckers, what would you do? Drive off, and then if they shoot at you, and then they make up a big ass story about, you know, they said they had a crushed leg and he tried to run over his fucking partner or some shit. If they're jumping him and shit, and you don't know what the fuck is going on, I'm taking off, man. I'm taking off. You're blocking my fucking ways. You shouldn't block my fucking movement. Why were you in the middle? You know, you're in front of my truck to do me damage, to do me fucking harm. And you know, are you telling me, fucking police? Are you saying it or not, man? They should have had videotape on this. They should have been videotaping themselves when they went. This whole fucking thing went down. But instead, we have nothing, right? So actually, would there have been videotape? White Owl Liquors, or maybe the Daily Mart, or maybe that fucking King's Chicken? They never had any surveillance, or nobody had no fucking video. I mean, that almost seems to be the only way that you could protect yourself if you're in that situation, because you know it's his word versus the dead man's. And then I've been hearing this fucking saying, "A dead man tells no lies." Oh yeah, well he says nothing because you fucking killed him, so that's a great way to cover up your crimes. Just like the Native Americans, right? Just fucking wipe them out, bury them in the fucking, you know, backyard, never talk about them again. What Native Americans? Shawnee? What? I don't know. Shawnee school? Oh, you mean Iroquois? No, not you mean Algonquin? Oh, LaSalle? Okay, well we'll go to. I'm gonna move to LaSalle and enroll in fucking Iroquois. All right, I'm gonna go to Seneca. Nah, I'm gonna do Seneca probably. Shawnee Algonquin, Algonquin. Cruise down Algonquin, just drive, just cruising down Algonquin Avenue, you know. Shawnee Expressway, Shawnee Park, Shawnee High School, Shawnee everything, Shawnee everywhere. I'm gonna stop it at 20 minutes. So let's carry on. Grand juries were given all these options, right? They went ahead and got me for menacing. I was menacing when they tried to fucking run me over. I was, you know, doing my jaywalking fucking crime, and they was doing their fucking, you know, reckless homicidal fucking driving, you know, vehicular manslaughter type of donut. They're doing a donut, right? They're gonna fucking make me live to a criminal because I'm fucking jaywalking, and he's a donut driver, right? He's a fucking wild donut driver. You're walking, and this motherfucker's driving a goddamn fucking machine, right? That could do damage. That could do horrible. It's a big ass bullet, right? And the big ass. That's what they fucking taught me in Radcliffe traffic school. So the jurors found insufficient evidence to warrant prosecution. Of course, the Commonwealth attorney, who's like the head honcho, he's the man over all of them, right? He's over like several counties. The Commonwealth's attorney. That's not even the prosecutor. That's the man over the prosecutor. Commonwealth's attorney. Woo! Gives me chills actually just fucking thinking about how much power the Commonwealth's attorney has. Lewis's girlfriend and half sister are displeased with the jury's decision. Of course, I'm very upset. Period. Lakeisha Bragg, Lewis's girlfriend. So Lakeisha Bragg was actually, I think, with Lewis. So I would love to hear what the fuck went down. I'd love to hear exactly how the fucking shit happened. Lakeisha Bragg, Lewis's girlfriend, after learning Stimley had been cleared of all charges, she was in the van with Lewis when the shots were fired. I can't say I wanted to see him suffer, said Tracy Smith, Lewis' half sister. I wanted something to be done, you know. I don't want him to suffer, but something needed to be done. Yeah, absolutely. Wanting endangerment. He didn't get. They said I'm menacing because I fucking had, you know, I walked. I said fuck you back to the police, right? They said fuck you, get out of the way. I said fuck you back. So I'm menacing, but menacing, that's like Dennis the Menace. That's like in the bush, fucking hiding behind a bush. He's scary, menacing. It's like driving donuts in the middle of the street and trying to run people over there. That's fucking menacing. So they're gonna fucking say I'm menacing because, you know, I said fuck you back to the police when I'm walking across the street and he about ran me over. But they're gonna let this motherfucker go. They're not gonna say he was menacing. He was no disorderly conduct, no menacing, no anything. He got a badge and a gun and a uniform. No wanton endangerment. Certainly no murder. No, it's not murder. Justice happened because they covered. his ass for murder. That's why justice happened. They was able to stop justice.